CMC, for the people, by the people, and to the people. Citizens movement for change. Oh yes, a new day has come. Yes, a new day has come. Rise up, Liberia. CMC, for the people. CMC, by the people. Let us join our hands together to build a better Liberia. CMC, CMC, for the people. CMC, by the people. Let us join our hands together to build a better Liberia. Equity, national unity, transparency, accountability, social justice, integrity, CMC core values. CMC Global. It is a new day for Liberia. It is a new day for the people. Let's hold together. Let's hold together. Peace and unity. Raise up the hands. CMC. The land of liberty, the land of freedom, the love of liberty brought us together. Let's hold together in peace and unity to build a better Liberia. CMC, CMC, for the people. CMC, yes, by the people. Let's hold together in peace and unity to build a better Liberia. CMC, CMC, yes, for the people. CMC, yes, by the people. Let's hold together in peace and unity to build a better Liberia. CMC, yes, 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 the time has come.
Yes, I suppose that's how the show is being normally introduced. And so we are indeed happy to have you with us this night. And it is a wonderful time to again welcome our listeners wherever you are joining us. It is a great time, Liberia time. It's past 11 uh, in the evening here. So I know the time difference around the world, but it is a very good time for us to be back here. Massive, you there, you need to mute a little bit. All right, thank you. So that again, a great time for us to be here. We are gradually closing the year with a lot of different conversation happening at the end of the year. But again, we here at the end of the Citizens Movement for Change, we are always happy to be on your platform, talking Liberia, discussing issues relating to the country. We bring you up to date with activities within the CMC. So if you just join us, viewing us
Thank you
on
so
this
much, Allah.
platform, you
You're
can also
welcome.
share the show so that we all can be together. Can we hold on to that video a little bit so that at the appropriate time we can introduce the video? Uh, Again, like we're having some little interference, but it's good that we continue from where we are. It is our obligation, and we're asking you to share the show, share the platform, share the show, and I'm sure we are back on set. So we are happy to be right here. A great time. Let me welcome on set, uh, Masa. I want to call her that. I love to call you that way, by the way. And let me say compliment of the season.
Which
And
you can
let's
say that's my name. That's my name, Masa.
okay. So compliment of the season. And how was the Christmas celebration with you and your family?
Thank you, Mr. Toby. Thanks to our audience for listening to us tonight. So yeah, to answer your question, the Christmas celebration was great. I had this year everybody came over. It's like my house has been a party hall for everybody, for all the family, all my family, like my cousins, my nieces, nephews, um, my mom, kids. I mean, everybody came over, so it was really beautiful to see everybody and just having fun and just enjoying all the different African food. Like everywhere you go, you'll be a Liberian. So all the different Liberian food we had it on Christmas Day. So yeah, it was great, Mr. Toby. I had so much fun. I'm suffering from hangover, but we gotta keep going because you can't sleep.
Yeah. So that's the beauty of the Christmas festivity. It comes with its own um, togetherness. It brings family together. People will find some time to get united. It is good that you've been having some real good time with the family. Again, we are closing the year, like I said in our introduction. So there's a lot of things we will go back on because after this edition of our program, we are looking forward to a date for the new year. But let me ask you, Masa, just looking at your environment, looking at the society, looking at Liberia from where you sit and watch. Um, let's talk about a year with you. And, if you are to put in summary, the entire activities of the year in terms of what you saw in Liberia, your own observation, how can you summarize it in few words? As a citizen, as a female, and of course as a patriotic Liberian, how do you summarize the activities that you witnessed over the last months, days, weeks to where we are?
See, for me personally, I will say it was good, it was bad. Because it was good in the sense that, although it might not be for everybody, but for those who are alive, we tell God thank you because that's one of the things that everybody wishes for, to be alive. And then there are families who, especially for that guy who lost his entire hustle, just waking up in the morning, his wife, kids, other family members, it was bad. So, but then on the politics side, the political side or government side, I would say it was um, it was very ridiculous. Ridiculous in the sense that um, there are so many things that our people are going through, many suffering our people are going through, and then you have a government who took the whole year to just invest in building their political party headquarters and not really paying attention to the welfare, the well-being of their citizens or even the country. So for them, it was good, but for the Liberian people in general, it was very, very bad. And then you also saw that last minute of time, you saw a speaker who's supposed to be a role model for our society for young boys, young men coming up. And you see him, just having this. I always look at it to be common, like what you sow, you reap. You might not reap it right away, but in a long term, when you think everybody has forgotten, that's when you are exposed to see a speaker who lived his entire life, just exploiting women, just lying to them, and and just playing games. I mean, just wanting to be the spouse to every woman he met along the way. That's not really a good model for our young men who need to, or they are looking for people like you, Mr. Toby, to serve as an example, to be a mentor, and so I don't know how 2026 is gonna be like, but that's like I said, politics wise, leadership wise, it was really ridiculous for a country that was created in 1847, and for a small population that is yet to be productive. It was very bad.
Okay, the good, the bad, the ugly for you in 2025. Let me welcome uh, Dr. Frances, who's also
Hi
joined
guys.
us. Uh, that is good to see you. And we are just having our opening comments, but I want us to look at it in closing the year, the good side, the bad side, the Liberia you saw from a distance, the news you read. She's been reading several things, including the social conduct of the most powerful third person in our country, the country that is poor but rich in nature. So I want to ask you that if you were to summarize your own observation about Liberia, the politics, the development, the things you saw in the year 2025, what could be your summary note of everything that we've discussed, that we read, that we've managed to see it on the social media? How do you do a summary note for Liberia in 2025?
Well, I want to say hello to everyone. Hi, Masa. Hi, Winston. Hi, Mr. Tubit. It is good to, and of course, our audience. It's always good to be here with you. I would sort of side with what Masa said. I have a mixed review of the year. Um, Personally, I want to say that things went well for me. If I check the boxes of family, career, good friends, living well. I would say that I'm grateful. I'm happy that things seem to be going well. Kids are developing appropriately. They leaving my house slowly, so that's a good sign. You never know as a mother sometimes, what you do with them when they're young, but when they grow old, it's just left to prayers now. Um, in terms of Liberia, I was excited initially when we had the election. I was looking for robust change. The key word here is robust change. And I am increasingly feeling disappointed in this government because I'm not feeling the kind of change I expected. And I will say, for example, when we look at governance, we started off with, issues happening with our, House of Representative, the leaders in the legislature, primarily the House of Representatives, started with a speaker calling himself, I'm a regime speaker, identifying with the government. And so I got confused because I was hoping that they were going to be a government that spoke in the interest of the people and not of personality of the president or a particular person in the government. So that was very confusing, that they were going by the rule of man as opposed to the rule of law when it came to, selecting the speaker. And the speaker himself, Mr. Richard Cohn, is now, later on we heard he was considering himself to be the regime speaker. And I also noticed at one point, when the investigation for the Capitol building was going on, the president came on and said, and describe perhaps perpetrator of this crime as hooligans. And it was, again, another surprising effect for me because I expected the president to be open minded and let the evidence take us to who it would take us to. But he came in this and described people as hooligan. I'm disappointed again in terms of the unity of the way how the country is going in terms of unity. Um, I feel like there isn't enough being said about unifying our country. The things that we are prioritizing now does not speak to unity. When we look at healthcare, when we look at education, when we look at uh, infrastructure for the people of Liberia, things that are in alignment with the CMC, we are not seeing unity being amplified in that area. We are seeing unity, especially for a government who won, I think some people say by 20,000 points. uh they are not really emphasizing unity. I feel like, okay, again, our priority, as the CMC leader said, is reflected in the budget. You can see clearly the budget is the same old thing. We passed, it's the same old thing, except that, I mean, they say that they've increased the budget to $1 billion, but it's the same old thing. And I'm so happy that uh, representative political leader Musa Hassan Bilder stood up to say, I'm not going to vote for it. Um, Again, I think Masat's greatly described leadership. What leadership? That's my question. Um, I'm hoping that more issues regarding to a code of conduct, ethics. There's a very interesting and strong relationship between ethics and leadership. And I think we are only looking at, oh, if it's not legal, then it's fine. But what about the ethics speak to integrity and morality? And I think we need to bring that back in government. One thing I'm also, and I'll end here because I know there's many of us, uh, the way that women, 50%, according to the last census, said that women were made up 50% of the population in Liberia. And I feel like women issues have not been prioritized. And I was hoping again that this government was at least going to look into that, especially when it comes to legality. Women can go to the court and they become second fiddle. The issues are not, it was just publicized in the newspaper. I was just reading about it. The issues, check today that CMC cap night. Okay, I will stop here. I will stop. I gotta go find my own CNC cap. All right.
I gotta tell Vicky to send me one of the hoodie, the sweatshirt. But okay, I keep forgetting. I'll get in touch with you, Vicky.
Two people
You
now
know,
just
thank,
let me
thank
go
you,
see if
thank,
I got one yet because I gotta go
thank,
find it.
thank you, Dad. Thank you. When Vic appeared, I saw the red cap. Then Winston went off. Then he returned with a cap. I was just about to say something, and you just took it off. But it's good to see you, Winston. It's good to see Vic. I'm sure it's a full house tonight. Winston. So let's put a summary from where Dad stopped. Looking at the year on a review. You are out of the space of Liberia, but you follow our politics very well because you are a part of the Bali politics of Liberia. You're distant, having taken you off the political space of our country, so you know the in total of things happening here. The same question, if you were to do a summary note of Liberia, the good and ugly, what would be captured in your summary note?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Tove. Thanks for the opportunity. And let me say good morning from my end to all panelists on the show. Says Vicky, Max, Dr. Richardson, and to you, Mr. Tove. So I want to say that I want to first start with the good side. I think day before yesterday we saw the Liberia Revenue Authority had a press conference or press release, if you will, and talking about our domestic revenue collected this year, which was 818 million United States dollar, as opposed to what we have collected previous year, which is 804 million. So that means our domestic revenue increased by 13 million. That's a very good thing. I think the people of Liberia, we are now responding to paying taxes and making sure that we can be able to contribute to national development. I think it's a very good thing, and thanks to the government. And we hope that in the next year to come, they will be able to improve on that. But year in review, there are a few other things that I've been able to capture. That you didn't get your face care anyway, but so we got so many souvenirs. We got so many souvenirs. But anyway, let me start with this.
Keep bluffing
Mr.
us,
Toby.
yeah. Keep bluffing us.
Yeah, let me start with this. I want to first just start by appreciating, all CNC within East Africa, especially the leadership for the leadership retreat. I think we are coming up with the picture evidence where we'll be floating around the social media. We were also able to have our official Facebook page that we will be having our own podcast at time talking about the CMC East Africa chapter. These are things that were included within our meeting and all of that. There are so many things that we talk about, and thanks to all of them for turning up. And thanks to the executive board too for assisting us, to be able to have this meeting. But let me come down to the Liberian issue. There are a few other things here in review that I was able to capture. Number one, it has to do with the unemployment rate in Liberia right now. Let's say, as we all follow, the last time we saw the MCC scorecard, which talk about this government taking employment rate from 100% on the CDC and bringing it down to 9%. That means employment rate dropped by 93%. This is a very bad sign for us. And girls' education. I think women serve a pillar for society, especially when women are into top governmental position. Like we saw how Madam Seli demonstrated when she was president in the Republic of Liberia. In fact, one of the most celebrated president in the Republic of Liberia is Madam Ellen Johnson Seli. If you come to Rwanda and go to museum, you'll see Madam Ellen Johnson Seli picture on the wall. It's a history. People go there and read. When you say you're from Liberia, they'll say, "Oh, okay, first female president, Madam Seli." Mm-hmm. So it shows how women can impact the society, how women can bring more attention. If you see this government failing on women education, I think it's a bad sign. We got to create more avenue for our sisters, our mothers, relatives who want to get quality education to come and impact the society. And the second one that it has to do with they also feel in resources protection. We should be able to wisely use our resources. Our resources, Liberia is country gifted by God but betrayed by its own people, quoted by Councillor Tewase Gonglo. We have all of the resources. We have multi-million concession companies within Liberia. But at the end of the day, we cannot use our resources in a way that will have trickle-down effect on the ordinary Liberians, people who are affected, people in Nima County, around the Yikepa belt, people in Bon County who have been affected by the train passing every day in a community. People in Grand Bassa, they are not benefiting from our resources. So the government should be able to improve on these things. Number one, they should be able to provide opportunity for our sisters to get better education. Two, they should be able to make sure that our resources is used for the intended purpose. Let people be able to benefit from our own resources. And lastly, just to close up, the government also feel on. They also feel on. I come in 1 minute. Okay, they also feel on child health. Health is one of the critical things that we should look at. They feel on child health. I think we should be able to improve on these things to make sure that we can get healthy environment. This is why the CMC was able to scrutinize the budget. We said, look, we are not disagreeing with the Liberian government or under this regime having 2 billion budget. But what we want to disagree with is that how the budget has been break down. The 11 pillars that the budget is built on, or the 11 sector that the budget reflect, monies are not being allocated there properly. This money was just meant to increase speaker budget to 1.87 million. It was just used to increase the vice president budget up to 10 million. So that some of these money be cut down and be put into child health that you people feel there, so we can have better healthcare system for our children in Liberia. So that's what I wanted to say. Thank you, Mr. Toby.
Well, thank you. Very strong point, Winston, talking about the revenue component of Liberia and the report given on yesterday. We'll talk about that in detail. That is part of our talking point. We started our conversation last night, but we intend to go a little bit deeper into what that breakthrough means for our health sector. What is it going to do for our clinics? What is it going to do for our schools? We are good at making history. So we'll talk about that when we come back with our questions, but we stay taking our opening comments. So let me now bring in Vic, who is parading this platform as of yesterday with CMC. If it is not the T-shirt, and then she's doing the face cap, it's a very good way to close the year, Vic. Taking CMC in your heart into 2026. But let me read your closing note or your note for the year on a review, looking at what you've been reading, things you follow in Liberia. If you were to do a summary note, what could be captured in that summary note of yours?
I want to say thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to talk about it a little bit. I mean, for me, I know we're supposed to be constructive when it comes to criticism, but sometimes we try to, but then we don't want to fake. Especially somebody like me, I don't know how to fake, to make situation sounds better when it's not. So I want to give you a little bit, but I'm going to play the devil advocacy on this one tonight. So yeah, in review, I just want to say this year has been a great year for, especially with our political party that started in the middle of the year for this just 6 to 7 months now since it started. That's one of the greatest things that ever happened, to have a political party established that is doing so much, a lot that the government is not even thinking of. That's my one thing, positive thing that I would say about this year, and especially when it comes to the development, economic growth, the bridge building, the roads building, the school, renovation and all of that. I want to say I'm really, really grateful for that. When it comes to the Liberian government, like I always say, I was one of those that is not surprised right now at this time that for everything that is happening in Liberia, because I was one of those that I knew that there was no, such thing as a rescue or change. I one of those that knew the intent of the government right now, or the ruling party. And I knew what they were coming for, and everything that we said was going to happen is what I usually see. So I don't have any other big surprise as to what is going on. First of all, something that I thought was one of the positive things with this government year in review. Let's come to that. Is the drugs, the sabotage, the reduction of drugs. I can see a little bit of possibility there, but positivity there. But I want to also say that before you do something like that, you got to plan ahead. And one thing I think the government is missing is how to actually prioritize, and coordinate. Before you make a plan of maybe just reduction in the country, there should be a plan made first. Okay, we see that we're going to go and demolish where the kids gather to have take in so much drugs. We're going to go and demolish or sabotage where they usually go to do this thing, or where the drugs come from. But what is there any plan? There was no plan as to how to rehabilitate them. Well, before you start to do this thing, you should already have something in plan, like, oh, let's build a rehabilitation center. let's have a plan. Well, okay, in case we stop them from taking drugs, it's addiction, we get it. What is the program? Do we have any program, to support them in the process? There was nothing like that. So the reason why you see it's getting really, really bad and rampant is because these kids were situated somewhere that they used to go and do their acts, but this place was demolished, and now they everywhere, they among everybody, they're everywhere. So when they go and see them somewhere, they will go and be like, oh, you guys need to move from here, and scatter them. So now nobody know who is who. They are just among everybody. When they break, everybody is everybody. So there's no specific plan for them. There was nothing put in place for them that if we do this, we can take them to rehabilitation center. We have this program that is set for them. It's something that I sometimes want to say the government tried on, but then there was no plan set for that. All right. So the issue about the budget, how the budget was allocated, those are things that we have been saying. And one thing I would say that with the years in review is I don't think the government is listening. Listening is a skill and it helps a lot. They are not listening. People that Honorable Musa has some ability will come and say this is a problem, or the CMC will say this is a problem I found on the budget. And now only that we are condemning the budget, we are saying what could be the best thing to do, what could make this budget allocation better, what they could do, strategy that they could do, what could be minimized or what could be reduced to make places that the health facility, the education sector, the what could make it, agriculture, what could make it better. We are literally telling you this is what we think when you do will make it better. Other opposition would never say anything because they want you to make no mistakes. But what makes the CMC different is they are coming, they're showing you the way to do it. They're being positive or proactive, telling you, I think when you do it this way, it'll be better, but nobody listening. So the whole thing, like I said again, I don't really have anything to say about year review because those are things that we talk about. Those are things that we expected, and there was no proof of rights. So I will stop right here. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Thank you very much, Vic. And thanks to all of you for weighing in on your opening comments, specifically on the your takeaway note for the year, different thoughts. So we all saw things differently. Dad had her own note. Maz has taken ours. Vic have just expressed, and we heard wisdom. And so it tells us that even though we are all following the development in our country, but our priority on what we are taking away from the year are all different. And it means that we discuss the same thing, but we prioritize things differently. So that is our human nature. And I'd like to say thanks to all of you for weighing in on that. Let me inform you that the PL, I'm sure, should now be back in country. The last time I checked, he was on his way from Freetown in Sierra Leone, where he has gone to join other members of his faith in a well-organized program. And at that program was the president of Sierra Leone and the first lady. I'm sure there's a clip on that. We will play that subsequently during the program. But let me start the discussion from where we briefly talked about last night, because Vic weren't on the show, Mansa weren't on the show, and Winston weren't on the show. So I will come to you, Vic, with this question because Dad spoke briefly about it, but tonight I will allow her to expand on it. Because the big news that we think we are closing the year with for the government cycle is this conversation about the pronouncement made by the Liberia Revenue Authority, the LRA, in its 2025 domestic revenue generation. They've informed us as citizens of our country that domestic revenue target in the year 2025, in the fiscal year, um, were raised, and there was a surplus to that domestic revenue. So it is a sign, and it is a historic part of what was being reported. Like we now have one of the biggest budget in our country history. We are equally talking about the biggest revenue, domestic revenue collection in our country history. So this Unity Party government is taking us into a milestone of making history. They're giving us a very huge budget, and now they've said our domestic revenue has passed the previous fiscal allocation. But the $1 million question that Liberians are asking is, it is not just about having a record ending revenue report, but how disciplined fiscal spending, how this revenue is going to relate into improve services. How is it going to relate to rules connectivity? How is it going to relate to clinic? How is it going to relate to teachers? How this revenue surplus is going to end up giving Liberians the belief that yes, we are paying our taxes, and at the end of the day, our taxes can be seen in services provided, in infrastructures built in our country, and not just a revenue that will be collected and there's no impact, not anything seen about the workings of our monies. I'll come to you, Massa, and after you, we'll come to Winston, then we'll go to Vic, then based on that, we'll hear the take of Gaito Francis. So let me hear you on this. If you hear that the country has collected surplus in 2025 and we're going into 2026, what do you expect that surplus or that generation of tax to do? You live in the United States, you know what tax payment does to the growth and development of a country. Master, let me hear your take on this one.
Thank you, Mr. Toby. If we hear about surplus, it's commendable. Let me be honest, it's commendable. But this surplus that we are talking about, revenue surplus, I don't. It's just me. I don't believe it. I don't believe that there's a surplus because if you have a surplus of anything, especially in government, it should reflect in the lives of your people. And let me tell you, I don't come from a financial background, but I do a lot of work in finances, especially as it relates to, budget allocation, like contracts and those kind of things. I do a lot of work in that. So if you're talking about government having a surplus from revenue that they have generated, that should reflect in the lives of the people. If it cannot even reflect in the lives of ordinary Liberians, but it should also show in the lives of your employees. You know, so look at how many ministries or how many civil servants like have received paid. What are their pay grade? Did they receive any kind of increment in their pay grade or pay rate or monthly salary? Nothing of that. So let me tell you, Mr. Toby and everybody here, our politics have turned so much into lies because we want to overshadow everything in Liberia. We want the people, not the ordinary people, but people who have some kind of academics, who are educated, we want them to see us as people who are working, you know. But and then we have this tendency of just lying to our citizens, or just lying to everybody. And let me tell you, if you challenge the Ministry of Finance right now to show you places that they generated that revenue,
Hmm.
or or just provide some kind of documentation, they will not be able to provide those documentation of generated revenue. So everything that they say concerning that, I feel like it's just political, it's just political satisfaction, political sweet talks. People have to end the year saying something positive, so that Liberian people will run with. Because everything now in our country, everything that breaking news, you know. And so when you are on this other topic, especially when we were on the topic of the third most powerful man in the country, his playboy kind of lifestyle that he has, and now they want to distract everybody from that. And so they have to bring us something good so that people can get on it to discuss, the actuality of it. And so for me personally, there's no surplus of revenue that was generated this year. And the Liberian government, they don't need to lie to us, because they very well know that there's no surplus of revenue. You have a low employment rate. If you have surplus of revenue, you should be able to employ young people. You have the healthcare sector that is very deplorable. You talk about, Mr. Toby, you talk about education, you talk about rural connectivity, and all those kind of stuff. So where is the where did you generate the revenue, the main source that produce the surplus of revenue in the country, domestic revenue? And you talking about domestic revenue, yeah, Mr. Toby, right? So if you have your surplus of domestic revenue, then you really don't even need donor funding. You really don't even need to be out there begging people to give you their own country's money. Use your surplus of revenue to how you call it, to take care of your people, to take care of your country. So I think this is just a very biotic, because now you make even donors who want to come in, they might not be able to come in to help the government, because now the government is producing surplus. So if you have surpluses this year, I'm pretty sure next year you're going to have more. So there's no reason why, for example, the U.S. government coming in to help your healthcare sector, you should be able to use that generated surplus to help your healthcare sector, to help your education sector. I mean, the thing they want to convince the or be make distract the educated people in our country. But I think this is very bad for them, because what happens is that you even make investors to want to hold back on doing what they need. I mean, donors to want to hold back on some of their funding. So for me, it's fake news. There's no surplus anywhere. They're just doing it to distract people, and that's just it.
All right. Thank you for those very strong uh, voice, especially in your observation. You think the government is running with something fake, a distraction or a comment to please the followers. You don't see that being realistic. Let me come to you, uh, Vic. With this news, it means that the citizens of the country uh, were able to comply with the government, because compliance will speak to um, income generation, revenue generation, domestic revenue generation. It means that the citizens of the country have gotten sufficient education on taxation. So they've been paying their tax, and government is pleased to let us know that with compliance, they've generated surplus as as per what they allocated. They've gotten more than that. But a very serious point that Massa raised is the component that had to do with us now telling the world that yes, we got a very good budget, and now we can raise more revenue, and that could hinder the contribution from others that we've been sitting and allowing them to give us handout. How do you see this pronouncement? What is your reading of the pronouncement, specifically when you heard that domestic revenue were collected and it has increased, and it has given us a space to speak to what we are talking about tonight, and how can that revenue reflect in our day-to-day activities as Liberians? Vic.
Again, thank you so much, Mr. Toby. Massa knew it, but I'm just going to make some comment on that. First of all, listen to the word domestic and see Liberia's situation right now. We are fighting for a budget that was passed that has no good plan for agriculture. This is propaganda, strictly a propaganda, and that's Unity Party. That's what they do. Massa made a point that's very, very important when she said that there's a blunder somewhere around that we have been talking about the chairman in command with Liberia. That news has been around for a little bit now, like going to 3 weeks. Liberia news, breaking news, don't really say that longer, but this news is going. And that's the way of Unity Party. They are looking for something to change, to take the minds of people, the eyes of people from that eyes or that news. So they're going to come up with something like that. There is no, I can put it to bed. There is no explicit, accurate, anything, documentation or spreadsheet that will actually give the breakdowns of how this revenue was generated. You can never find anything like that in book. This is propaganda. It does not seem like it. Does it seem like it to you that Liberia have a surplus? With the complaint, with with everything that is going on right now in our health sector, people are hungry, market people are complaining. First of all, who are the people that are paying the taxes? Does it look that people are paying taxes in Liberia? Where are they getting it from? Where is it coming from? People are crying every day about business not going. Rate is like this. Prices are hard. Does it look like Liberian people have surplus? It doesn't seem like it, first of all. If we have surplus, why we should be in so much poverty? Christmas will almost cancel in Liberia. So where is the surplus? How did we get there? What's the agricultural empowerment of the country? Talking about domestic revenue. Where did it come from? You look at the budget, there's nothing over there to empower farmers or agriculture. So where did it come from? And there's a saying in the if you cry, right, people will come to your aid. But if you cry, faking or don't eat cry with shame. Now that they're saying we are surplus, that means we're about to be self-sufficient. They're just saying that Liberia is about to be self-sufficient, or Liberia is self-sufficient. We don't need all the extra fundings from international community or from anywhere. Why must people always lie to get ahead? And one point again that she made when she said that, they're saying this thing for people, like, if the good news is she didn't say people that are uneducated or people that don't know much or people that are not rational. She said people that are educated, they're saying this thing so that they would think that, these people are winning. And I think they are doing good. And guess what? People are educated. People are rational. People fall for these things, this kind of propaganda. Because once it's out, they don't look at how it is. They don't look at, where is it? Let me read something about that. What are the sources? How did we get there? They don't think that way. You actually see them applauding them and cheering them up. And that is so sad. Why are we educated and don't think for ourselves? And they just believe what other people say, lies and stuff. So that would be what I would say about that. There is no such thing as surplus. If there is, prove us wrong. Let's see from now to maybe the to March, how our economy will look like. Let's see about even the female education they're talking about. Let's see how many percentage of female will be in school. Let's see our infrastructure, how it going to look like. Let the government prove us wrong from now to March. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Another very salient point, and let me commend the both of you. You've spoken very well. So let me bring in Wisdom now. Winston, you hatched this conversation because it was briefly discussed last night, but you thought to bring it back to the discussion in your opening comments. You took it as one of the gains of this administration. But if we are to look at the domestic revenue, the collection from the Liberia Revenue Authority, the news of yesterday, we were talking budget few weeks back, a budget that is set as the highest in our country history, and we're talking about the revenue collection, which has become a historic pronouncement by the government through the Liberia Revenue Authority. The reflection tells us that we Liberians are paying our taxes. We are compliant to government mandate. But the million-dollar question Vic have asked, and Masad is doubting, that it is difficult to believe in a country where Christmas, the Vic said, were near the cancer. The economy is tough. The marketeers are complaining. The country lacks industry. Where did the government generate the domestic revenue that has now become a surplus, that has now become a historic figure? 818 million, something around there. What was the magic? And how can that reflect in services? Because if the people pay their taxes, that you see it in the roads, you see it in the health sector, you see it in schools, would you see it in the community, would you see it? So it should go towards things that benefit the people. That's why they pay their taxes. So what do you see, Winston? How do you read it? Let me also welcome Fofana to the show. We'll come to you, Fofana, shortly. But Winston, come up and let me hear you on this one.
Thank you, Mr. Tobe. So I think when I said that, I wanted to start by appreciating the government. I just wanted you to understand that this government have made us to believe there is something called a narco sign of first impression. You always give people everything about this government. They always give people first impression. So I first wanted to have alluded to the first impression the government always give, or the narco sign of first impression.
The government just 1 minute, Winston. Let me get through our life. Some human side into this. Like you went to meet one girl, you want to impress her the first time.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So that's a narco sign of first impression. Anyway, thank you for breaking it down. But that's a narco sign of first impression. So when this government have made us to believe that everything about them is first impression. They make us to have the first impression. The Liberian people to have the first impression about the 1.2 billion United States dollar budget. They make us to have the first impression that we're bringing a rest agenda to put agriculture for it, because in Liberia, our first concern is agriculture. We have to grow our own food so we can be able to eat every time. So the government is very strategic in terms of first impression. So that's why
I just have to interrupt with story. You really making me to laugh.
Yeah, so this is why I first started by saying thanks to the government, because this is what they want. They want people to say, after all of the thing around in the year coming to an end, we have ended quarter two, we have ended quarter three of the fiscal year of 2025. They want to bring something where at the end of the day will glorify. And this is why I think when United Partisans listening to us will say, yeah, Wisdom is the best panel on the show. But let me say this, right? There are two major concerns when I hear about the surplus in the revenue. Three major concerns, in fact. Let me first start by saying, if you see the 1.2 billion budget, you see that in loan, we're still running behind, all international loan organizations to take 80 million from them in order to be able to fund our budget. But we can still come up. We have press conferences and say, you know what, we have surplus in domestic revenue. And international community, very same people who run into to get 80 million from them. They are listening to us. They on the internet, they're seeing what's going on. By the end of the day, we'll still go back to them and say, you know why you give 80 million so we can be able to fund our budget. So it's a very strategic thing from them. And again, my second question is, how can the LRA reconcile the declaration of the domestic revenue surplus with the shortfall in the external funding or the borrowing Liberia doing every time? Every time we say we're raising funds, our domestic revenue, people paying taxes, we get 818 million in our domestic revenue. We get surplus. By the end of the day, we're still borrowing. So how can we really reconcile that? If somebody is on the show that can answer that question, because I've tried to answer that since I read this whole revenue surplus something, I have not been able to answer that. So if somebody on the show that can answer that.
But we saw that's the reason why we say the whole surplus is showmanship. It doesn't exist. It just to end the year good. That's it. It doesn't exist.
And the last question there is, we have ended quarter 1 of 2025 fiscal year, quarter 2 of 2025 fiscal year, and quarter 3 of 2025 fiscal year. But we have not seen the performance of the revenue. There have been no publication about our revenue, but they will only go, they sit down and have press conference. Oh yeah, we get surplus money. They will not bring, they will not bring evidence of this surplus money we have. So these are evidences that we want to publicize to the people, that the people themselves read it and make critical analysis on it. They will not do that. They will only go and have press conferences about it. But what I want to say here is that, Liberians, we are growing beyond this. And the good thing about it is that we have responsible political parties. We have political parties that, whenever government takes decision, we will not just sit there and just make joke about it and all of that. We will go and review that decision. We make critical analysis about it, and we'll bring our analysis to the Liberian people. And this is what the CMC can do. This very same way. I was on our own setting show tonight. I was invited on setting show tonight to talk about the CMC. And I told them, when they told me about our perspective as a political party on this 1.2 billion budget, I told them, y'all go on CMC official Facebook page. You'll see that we broke the budget down, we presented it to the Liberian people. So this is what we're doing. So saying the refuse to provide, clear explanation about their decision, the budget, and the revenue, the surplus they're talking about, CMC is always here as a responsible political party to break it down to the common Liberian people understanding. This is total transparency and accountability that we want to see. So if this government can tell us that we got surplus money, let it bring the report to the Liberian people, and let the surplus money, let the Liberian people be able to feel the impact. Mr. Tove, if you get plenty of money the way New Year coming, people who live in your community, you get a New Year, you go to them, oh, that $10 here, that $20 here, you're holding your coke. But Christmas Day, we didn't see people celebrating. Christmas Day, people did not really celebrate like we've been celebrating Christmas before. New Year coming, nobody cares about New Year. People thinking about what they will be able to do to be able to get money, because no money floating. At the end of the day, the government will come, government institution will come and say, you know what, we get surplus money. So all these things, they are just narco signs of first impression. It's just like going me one young guy, you still want to keep impressing it. But the good thing, says Vicky said, let me just close up on this, is that there are training issue in the country. The government said knows that they have made a lot of mistakes, especially about this, the term income in Liberia. Whole lot of things around him. So at the end of the day, The same system they can use when the president travel out of the country, he coming back to the country with nothing. They'll bring something up. Maybe you'll see asset recovery going after somebody, or you'll see the DEA going somewhere to arrest somebody just to dilute the system. That's the same thing they're doing. They want the year to end with not for us, not for the Liberian people. He's on the story that, you know, the regime speaker, he's not the actual speaker. Let's try to change it. So they want to bring something that, yeah, we get plenty of money in the country. So that's it, Mr. Toby. Thank you.
And thank you so much, Mr. Toby. Just before you comment on Brother Cooper. So first of all, surplus, the first sign of surplus is give away. Give away to the people, give away in the community. Was there any giveaway? Have you guys noticed any giveaway to the Liberian people? There was nothing like that. So because if I'm surplus, if I have a surplus, the first thing that will come to my mind, oh, these are the people that pay the taxes. Let's do something and give away to them. There was no giveaway at all. So because something that I would give a sign or signal that, oh yeah, I think there's a surplus. Nothing. So sorry for cutting you. Go ahead, Mr. Toby.
And just to add up, just Mr. Toby, just to add up to Vicky. I mean,
you want to add up to Vicky?
Yeah, I mean, you know, let's even forget about giveaway. What about the employees? You know, are those different ministries, institutions? Did they receive any kind of salary
Bonuses,
or even like upgrade to their salary? Did they receive anything? Civil service, let's say civil service. Did they receive anything? And how many people do we even have in Liberia that are employed? You know, to let's say even if they claim to generate a lot from payroll taxes, how many people are employed? You can't even convince us that you can generate $2 million from payroll taxes. You can't convince us because you have a small, how you call it? You have a small, let's just say, small body of employers in government. And how much are they making to be able to generate more taxes? Say, for example, if somebody in the U.S., you expect, let's say, their payroll, their bi-weekly salary to be like 200 plus K, let's just say 3,000 every 2 weeks. You would see government would probably take about 700 from their payroll, you know, from their taxes, their pay for that 2 weeks. You know, you don't have that kind of system in Liberia. Even the monthly that you have people making $65 every month. What are you taking from them for taxes? Nothing. So they can't even convince us that it's payroll taxes. And then you have how many people you have that have businesses or have even their, let's just say, for those who have horses in Liberia, you know, how many can they really generate? Not many Liberians that got homes or even paying taxes, you know. So you can't do it. You know, let's say home, how you call it, property taxes. You can tell us how much you can generate from property taxes because not everybody in Liberia, a lot of Liberians, the houses that they have a lot are not up to standard to generate those taxes. You understand what I'm saying? So, you know, it just bunch of lies that they are ending the year with instead of really reflecting on their failures and how to move forward to do it better for the Liberian people as they enter into their third year of leadership.
All right. So the females seem to be on fire tonight. They all look so excited about this conversation. So they are jumping in with different points. So they're getting refreshed every time there's a comment. I want to commend the both of you and wisdom for your thoughts so far on this first introduction point. But let me come to you, Dr. Frances, because you spoke about it briefly last night. Now you're hearing more details. When we were talking about it last night, we were like, yes, it's a start, and we wanted to see how far, this government would go in this. But let me throw it to you in another way, because we have to play the devil advocate here. So for me, let me consider this to be a real breakthrough for the government in terms of what they said through the head of the Liberia Revenue Authority. So if this breakthrough is real, if it is real, Then the challenge now for the government is to convert this achievement into durable social contract. And that social contract will now be that the citizens paid. So if the citizens paid, the government portion of what the citizen paid is for the state to deliver. So let me give it to you, Dr. Frances, and allow you to pick it up from that point that we've complied with the government, we've paid our side. Is the government now willing to play her part? Because now it's a social contract. We pay our part, you need to give us the services that we need as people of the country that are paying our taxes. Do you see it that way, or you think it is again, like myself have said, like Vic have said, and Winston have elaborated, that we just putting up a showmanship, a charade to close the year, give our own big budget, and then give us a domestic revenue as high in the history of our country, and there's nothing to show for it?
So, Mr. Toby, first of all, please allow me to just commend Masa, Vicky, Winston. I'm hearing you guys speak, and my heart is just warm and smiling and going, yes, uh, you guys couldn't have said it better. You couldn't have asked the most reasonable questions that all Liberians would like to know. So thank you so much. Thank you, Winston. Thank you, Maz. Thank you, Mr. Toby, for asking those brilliant questions. And thank you, Vicky. Again, I'm just proud of you guys. I also want to tell you that I do have an economist, Mr. Sam Jackson, who is also a member of CMC. He asked me, he's traveling, by the way. He's in between traffic. He asked me to call him when we come to this part of the lecture. So I will also I'll call him if it's okay with you, Mr. Toby, or if you want me to call him at another time, I'll call him and let him speak to this. But, last night when we were talking, I felt hopeful. I was actually happy that the government, was able to announce that they have 13 million surplus. I was happy for them. Like I would be happy for any other government. But one of the things that I ask is, how is that being felt by the Liberian people? And I think that is what I'm hearing again, Masa and Vicky echo, and Winston. How has that been felt? If and Vicky said something great. She said, if you, one of the first sign of having surplus is that you give away. I'll give you guys, and before I call Mr. Jackson, I'll give you guys a little sample of what happens when government have surplus. I live in a state, and every 2 years I'm supposed to pay my license fee. Okay, I'm a licensed psychologist. I'm supposed to pay my fee. So I was panicking because I had, contacted the state board, and I was rushing to pay, and nobody wasn't getting back to me, and what have you. It was just all this back and forth going on. And then suddenly I got a hold of someone, and she said, ma'am, do you not read the big screen that says your taxes were surplus this year, so you don't have to pay your licensure fee? And, I just, in a state of panic, didn't read it. I just wanted to talk to somebody. I was running late. I needed to, because I didn't want to be on time. So this is what happens when your tax work for you, for the people of Liberia. There will be some surplus, there will be some giveaway, as the example I just told you. And we are not seeing that, as all of the speakers have mentioned here today. We are not seeing the Liberian people do that. We also are not seeing how they did accrue this surplus taxes. We are also confused because over the past time, they have said they have outturn, which means that they are using more money than they intended to spend in the budget. Okay, so they were showing outturn. If you have surplus in your budget, why would you be showing us outturn? Why would you be having budget shortfall? All of these languages that suggest to us that you do not have enough money. So I'm gonna stop here and give Mr. Jackson a call because he's waiting in one of the hotel, no, in one of the rooms at the airport. So I just don't want to keep him waiting. So let me just stop here, and then of course, Mr. Toby, you can proceed with your questions with him.
Hello.
Hi, Uncle Sam.
Yes, Dr. Richardson, how are you?
I'm fine. You are on the show, and I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Toby to then speak to you because you have the background in the numbers and in the economy of Liberia. I'd like for you to speak to us about this whole uh, surplus thing.
Okay, all right.
Mr. Jackson, good to see, good to hear you. This is Smith Toby. How you doing?
Great stuff. Oh, okay, I have to find someplace quiet.
Yes, please do.
Go ahead, talk.
Mr. Toby?
Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to find someplace quiet. I'm in the United Lounge.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, go ahead, talk.
Okay, Mr. Jackson, are you getting me? This is Smith Toby here. How you doing?
Yeah, I got you. Yes, go ahead.
Mr. Jackson, how are you?
Yeah, I'm doing fine. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for taking.
Yeah, I'm to a quiet place now that I can talk. Go ahead.
Okay, so thanks for affording us the opportunity, and thanks for coming on this platform. You are a seasoned economist. I remember you very well many years back when you spoke about the economy of our country during the heydays of the war, when you spoke to the BBC about the status of our economy during the Taylor administration. You've been very strong on the Liberia economy. You've written a lot of proposals. You've given recommendations to government. But we're at a point, and specifically talking about the pronouncement yesterday from the Liberia Revenue Authority. I'm sure you follow that information, talking about what they've generated in 2025, and they exceeded what were being projected in 2025. You, as an economist, do you see it as something realistic based on the prevailing situation on the ground in the country?
Well, first of all, I mean, if they wanted to be fair to the public, they would have indicated the sources in terms of the composition of where that the over projection came from, right? Rather under projection and what we call like the variance, okay? Because we have budget, we have revenues, and we have variance, right? So if they collected more than they have projected, they should have done a composition of that. What are the sources in terms of revenue sources that the 13.6, 13.7, 13.4, 13.6 billion came from, right? Because they projected 804 million, and then it collected like 818, right? So okay, it was like 804.6 million, and then so that's only 1.7% increase, right? So a 1.7% increase is not, in terms of materiality, is not material. Okay, when we're talking about as a percentage of domestic revenue. The other thing that they did not indicate to the public was that in April of this year, there was a 2% increase in general sales taxes. Was it moving to VAT? So they're going to get the VAT between 15 and 18% eventually, but they moved to 12% this year. So if you look at the 1.7% increase in domestic revenue, that could be mostly attributed to that 2% increase in the general sales tax, right? So there may be other variables, but since they did not give us a composition, I'm going to make the assumption that this was not because of any effective tax administration or any efficiencies that they employed in tax collection, but rather because they imposed new taxes, a regressive tax on the people of Liberia.
Okay, so owing to that, Mr. Jackson, if, for example, the government gave us a budget that has been recorded as the highest budget so far being announced by a government in our country, they come to give us a domestic revenue that is also being recorded as the highest in our country's history. What sort of message are we getting? How realistic are those figures that are being put out from those of you who understand the economy very well?
Okay, but look, let's just be very clear here. Every post-war government, at some point in time of the administration, have reached the highest level of revenue collection of what the budget is. Ellen took it from about 100 million to between 540 to 620 million dollars over a period of 12 years, right? But it had averaged about 540, 560 million. The Congress for Democratic Change, the CDC government, took it over $700 million, right? So that was the first time that quantum of revenue happened. So do not be fooled, okay? There is something about the automaticity of economic growth, right? Things that are happening, they happen automatically that they did not plan for. For example, a lot of the economic growth that we've seen over the last several years, the last 2 years under this administration, has come because of the increases in global commodity prices. Gold is now hovering around 4,300 to 4,400 an ounce, and iron ore is at $102 per ounce. So if you ship iron ore and the price of iron ore and gold increase, definitely GDP will increase. And then, of course, the what do you call it? What is that? With what we charge? I think that 4%, where the royalty, okay, that 4% royalty will increase. So they needed to specifically tell us what the composition of that $13.6 million, where did it come from, the bulk of it? Did the bulk of it come from because of effective tax administration or efficiency, or where did it exactly come from? That's the point they did not explain to the public. So I mean, when they're high-fiving and they're doing the chest pumping because of 1.7% increase in domestic revenue, it's not material at all. It's not material. Okay, and it doesn't do much for the economy, because how is that money going to be applied? Is that money going to be applied like in maybe building a new school or funding a hospital, or what that money is going to be used for, right?
Yes.
So these are questions that should be asked. So I mean, so you have extra revenue, right? Mm-hmm. So how are you going to? What they should have said? Okay, because we've achieved this milestone with 13.6 million, we will use the $13.6 million for a legacy project, not for what? Tax and spend, okay, on just general expenditure. It's simply going to do with the $1.2 billion budget. They're applying the $200 million and the other contingency revenues from the oil leases. They're applying that strictly into the budget, into tax and spend. They're not doing anything like legacy projects associated with that. So in 2027, the budget expenditure fee is going to go back under $1 billion, because this $200 million is a one-off. It's a signature bonus. And I don't understand why they put it in the budget when they have not even signed the concession agreement with Mittal Steel. Okay, and the probability of collecting that continues to remain murky for now.
Thank you, Mr. Jackson.
Mr. Jackson, just that before Mr. Jackson leaves, let me just place a final question to him, because I heard him talk about if we're talking about the improved nature of our domestic revenue. How does it translate into services? You know, for example, I heard you talk about roads, schools, you know, and other services the government intend to provide. How ordinary citizens, get payback in terms of they paying the taxes, they comply to the government, but the services needed should be provided in return. So how can a domestic revenue collection translate into service being provided by the government?
So the thing is that in your strategic planning matrix, you should make a determination as, the project in terms of the public service investment project that has the highest and the quickest impact. Okay, for example, something that will create jobs, something that will create income, something that will reduce, for example, food insecurity, or something that would make people healthy, right? Or improve education, or provide in terms of a higher percentage of people with access to a pipe on water, or a higher percentage of Liberians with access to electricity. So that has to be part of the strategic plan. But the strategic plan does not have those kind of benchmarks and targets in terms of how they spend the money. So they just spend the money on running the government. For example, the current wage bill, okay, they show it as 329 million, but actually they've hidden some wages in there, so that whole wage bill that was $350 plus million. That's almost 30% or more than 30% of expenditure just to run a government with 70,000 people on the wage bill. Okay? And you have 80.9% of the population in the informal sector. There are no plans to create jobs, to create income, and to reduce the number of people in poverty. That's what a government is supposed to be doing. Okay? To promote and develop private sector initiatives to create jobs, to reduce poverty. And Samuel Choi said it tonight on his phone network. It was very clear. He said that both the CDC and the UP know how to stem poverty, right? To ensure that more people do not fall into poverty, but they don't have a strategy to create jobs, to take people out of poverty. And that's where we come in. So we have to demonstrate that we can create strategies to do private sector development that will create jobs. And the way you do that is by doing, number one, what are the barriers? What are the barriers to economic development in the private sector improve, right? So you look at roads and electricity. Okay. Then also the regulatory framework. What obstruct major investors from coming to the country is what? It's your court system. Okay, the ability to adjudicate disputes. Okay, dispute resolution. And you have to have a commercial court system that is world class, and that investors, major hedge fund managers who want to put money into Liberia would not be putting money into a place where they don't have an adequate judicial system to settle disputes, right? So these are the kind of things that the CMC will be implementing, will be promoting for private sector development, not just a tax and spend and a bureaucratic type of government that is just concentrating on paying that $24 to $26 million every month of civil servant salary just to pacify 70,000 civil servants, while the bulk of the population is languishing in abject poverty from generation to generation.
Thank you.
Yeah, can I place my...
Yes. Go ahead, Winston.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Jackson. Thank you. Thanks for the clarity provided. But earlier on, from your opening statement, you spoke about revenue sources. What are the revenue sources in coming up to the 818 million? But I want to ask this question. Someone will ask why LRA has not published a consolidated audit revenue performance report covering all the 4 quarters within 2025 to verify the surplus claims that they are making online.
Because look, they haven't done a fiscal outturn yet, right? Only a fiscal outturn at the end of this fiscal year would give you any pluses or minuses in revenue generation or even in expenditure. Okay, so they made that announcement. Fine, they wanted to get some political capital out of it, but we will know for sure only at the end of this fiscal period when they do the whole fiscal outturn for 2025, and which they have not done yet. When they do the fiscal outturn for 2025, then we will know the sources of the extra revenues that came in. They will be able to see it diagrammatically on paper. But for now, they can just tell us that they're collecting more than. The year hasn't even ended yet. They haven't even closed their books. So why are they even talking about that we collected? So that means is that yesterday the revenue generation end yesterday. Wow. Are you understanding me, Dr. Richardson?
Yes, yes.
Because revenue is still being generated every single day, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So why did they cut off the year yesterday? Because they wanted to have some kind of a chest pumping, high fiving kind of party before the end of the year. They put it with it until January when they could be high fiving and then do all this chest pumping.
Yes.
But they wanted to do something. They wanted for us to carry something into the new year, which is strictly political.
Yes. So I want to just thank you, Mr. Jackson. Is that okay?
Yeah, I wanted to go with this last one. I don't know if you can just squeeze me in for 30 seconds, please.
Sure, Mr. Jackson. I know he's at an airport. I just wanted to
I have a couple of hours to be here.
Okay. Sorry.
Mr. Jackson, I'm sorry again. I'm coming with another question. So we're talking about surplus in our revenue collection, domestic revenue collection. So how can we reconcile the declaration of this domestic revenue surplus with the borrowing we're talking about in our budget? In our budget, $1.2 billion budget, we're thinking about borrowing 80 million to be able to come up to this budget. So how can you reconcile the surplus in our domestic revenue with the 80 million United States that I want to borrow?
Yeah, but don't forget you're talking about 2 fiscal years though. So the 1.2 billion is for fiscal 2026, right? So the extra revenue that they receive is for fiscal 2025. All right. So there's no way they could have a portion that surplus revenue into the budget for 2026, right? But as a matter of fact, if they want to do like serious public sector investment projects, you have to do some degree of borrowing. That's just the way governments work. You have to do some degree of borrowing, but you have to do it in a way that you do not create a fiscal cliff. Okay, and you have to have the ability to service those loans using domestic revenues and not external resources.
Yes.
Okay. Very quickly, that Mr. Lambert is on and he's been following, and he has a question for Mr. Jackson.
Okay.
He's on speaker.
Hey guys.
Hi, Mr. Lambert.
That's a great show. I'm following you, even though I'm not on with you tonight, but you're doing great, and thank you very much. Sam, how are you, my brother?
I'm here with my brother. Not easy to win. I've been trying to get to New York since Friday night, and I've been in New York. Now I was in Cleveland yesterday, and I got cancer in Cleveland. I'm in Washington D.C. at Dulles right now. Hopefully, I will get home before tomorrow morning. And all I have to do is just to spend by the next 4 or 5 days sleeping and coming back to my body, because I'm leaving to go back to Liberia on Sunday, because I have some work to do in Monrovia. I have some private consultancy that I'm working on, and I need to be
okay.
Reception meeting on the 8th. So, but thank you very much for asking.
All right, man. All the best. Listen, I'm traveling too. I'm not on the show, but I'm following you, and thank you again. Whenever you come on, you bring so much clarity. So what I wanted to ask you is this, because I think there has been a lot of questions about, how overly ambitious this budget seems to be, from $880 million last budget term to 1.23 or so, there have been concerns about this government's capacity to raise the revenue that they're projecting. Do you think this is an attempt to telegraph to us that they have the capacity? I mean, are you saying they're trying to politicize it and all of that? We still have concerns as to whether they'll be able to raise the revenue that they're projecting for the next fiscal year. What's your take?
Yeah, but listen, look, but even they indicated in their own budget figures that the $200 million is contingent upon the concession agreement with Metal Steel.
Right.
They also have $10 million in there from asset recovery, so that's $210 million plus another, I believe, 20 or 25 million there for signing bonuses from Oranto and Total. Okay, so that's so if you do the realistic budget without the contingent revenues, you're talking about no more than 974 million. But
right,
they wanted to prove a point to have the first budget in the history of the country to reach $1 billion. They wanted to do some political chest pumping as they normally do, to go for their surrogates to be celebrating on Facebook. This is just a show eating government. That's all they do, to eat show, right? So, I mean, if they could raise monies from domestic revenues to beat $1 billion, that would be something that they could do, and they could make the announcement after the fact. But they want to eat show. They want to score political points. They want to have talking points for their surrogates on Facebook. That's why they included the $200 million that they haven't signed yet. But it's and the budget has passed. The budget has passed, but they did not. The budget has passed, okay, without the signature on the Metal agreement or ratification. But yes, they included it and passed it as law.
Absolutely.
Okay? And then the $10 million, okay, from asset recovery, there are no ongoing cases where the valuation of the assets to be recovered remotely even reaches $10 million. So where are they going to get that $10 million from?
Exactly. Well, let me wish.
Right?
Yeah, and I think that our people are seeing through all this. But you know what? It's time will tell. But let me wish you all the best and safe travels.
Thank you.
Thank you all so much. God bless you. And when I get settled in, give me a call after tomorrow, okay? Because I'm just going to sleep all day tomorrow.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Jackson.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Mr. Langley.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Safe travels.
So thank you, Mr. Jackson, and thanks to Winston, thanks to Vic, thanks to all of us who managed to place a question or two to Mr. Jackson. And like we said, he is a CC economist. He's been around for a very long time. He's been talking for government. He's been writing a lot of good paper recommendation about the economy of our country. He's within the circle of the CMC, and it showed us that we will do great along the way. So let's bring you for further. You've been fading and monitoring. Let me hear you out after hearing Mr. Sam Jackson. It is your time talking about what the LRA have said. We said a lot about it. It's like it's our major talking point for tonight. You being a little bit quiet because going around the table and bringing in Mr. Jackson has taken some time off. But let us allow you to make your comment on the issue we've been discussing.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Toby. I say good evening to everyone on the panel and to our distinguished listening audience. I don't have much to say because you guys have said it all, and Uncle Sam, who's a specialist, have expanded the conversation to a more academic standpoint by stating percentage in growth and all of that. So I will just be a little bit elementary and ask the basic question that is in most Liberian people's mind. Like I mentioned yesterday in the show, on the show, it's always welcoming when the government claims surplus, because either way is good for the Liberian people. it either exposes the government, the corruption in the government, or the Liberian people benefit if it is true. So the real issue or the reality in this is if over 818 million has been collected from the targeted amount of 804 million, that is almost 14 million in surplus. So that brings us to the real question is how are they spending those money? Who is benefiting from it? And why are the living conditions of the Liberian people is not at the same pace as the revenue collection? So at the end of the day, this talk about the lack of transparency, accountability in the government. So if the government claim this, I will always appreciate them for that because it's always good for the country. But the question will always be, this is not about press conference. It's about asking for result that the Liberian people can feel in their daily lives. So whenever government claim those issues of surplus, which have become a cliche in the country anyway, as Liberian, we will just continue to, ask the government for responsible use of our public funds so national revenue can actually work for the people, not just the report or the press conferences. So I would just say I will stop here because there is nothing much to say about it because there is no impact. It's all press conferences, which we it's become a cliche. We just have to hear more, let the people feel it. You don't have to tell them. When the people feel it, the people will be happy, but no one is happy in the country. So it speaks volume. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, and thanks for your contribution to the show. I want us to move on to something else, and apparently that is where we will go for the next 20 minutes or less, the close up. And I'm coming back to you, Masa. On Sunday, the former president took to the pulpit, and a very interesting conversation, and that has also become a year-end conversation. He's returned to the country after some stayed out. He came back during the festive season. He haven't spoken enough about activities in the country. And then, like he would normally love to do, goes to church at the Fokiklon Jarate Family Fellowship. Masa is taking the pause. When I release the question, then you will unmute. And then he went to the family church because the Fokiklon church is a family church. And after the sermon, he was given the opportunity to make remarks. He's returned to the country. And then he went on to explain his story. And that story has turned to be a story of questioning. Everyone who's heard about the former president have read his left start and noticed that it's always been said that he's come from this unique background of hardship. He saw battles in the street. He was a boy in Gibraltar. He came up the highway. And all this different story of hardship has been attached to former President Weah. But on Sunday, he gave us a scenario that he came from a family that could afford. His father was a working person, his uncle, and there's a whole lot of different things. So it has now become a controversial conversation. The government has been responding, citizens have been reacting, and we are all citizens. So we all listen, we all follow the politics of our country. He's come from the opposition, and we are all in the same space of the opposition, but we are Liberians who got our feelings, who got our ears to hear. Were you surprised of anything, specifically hearing what former President Weah said on Sunday and the way in which it has now been interpreted? Master, let me start with you, and this is our topic. It's going to go around.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Toby. And again, I just want to thank everybody, on the show tonight, and even Mr. Jackson, Mr. Nangwe. I think he tried calling me, but then I deleted the call because I'm using my cell phone, but I'm glad he was able to call in. And so I just want to use this to close as well because my phone battery is going there, yeah, and I don't want to, just leave. But yeah, I
Same for
did.
the charger. Same for the charger. This show is juicy. Same for the charger.
I know it's way upstairs. Let me make my point. I'll go grab it. Yeah, but I did follow it, and I mean, let's be honest, Mr. Toby, and I think everybody on this show we agree with us. We agree with me that President Weah had a very rough upbringing. He had a very sad story. His upbringing, his story is no different from all of us' story as Liberians. I was born and raised in Claritine, so I am familiar with President Weah's story. I mean, we are not of the same generation, but it's somebody who I grew up knowing, and I know the story about his upbringing. And he's somebody who a lot of young people, including men, young men and women, who look up to him when he became successful because of where he was born and raised and all of the struggles that he had to endure. And at the end of the day, he's a shining star in the world, you know. But I would also say that, and I think some of you will agree with me that, when it comes to public speaking, it's very difficult for a lot of us, especially Liberians. Sometimes our stories might be right, but sometimes, it might have some level of, I don't know how they could describe it. I just forget it. You would see, not that the story itself is bad, but sometimes public speaking is presented in a way where you really just lose track of things that you want to say. And if you have followed President Weah over the years, you will definitely know that he's not a public speaking person. Sometimes, yeah, he comes up to tell a story, and then when you look, the story has directed to something else. So for me, it's just me again. I don't take it personal, especially if I know somebody and I know your story. So if you come up with a new story, I mean, it's up to you. That's what you tell him. But I know who President Weah is. I know how he grew up. I know how young men and women like myself look up to him as a role model. If I say role model, meaning somebody who came from nowhere and became successful through their hard work, their efforts, and everything. So definitely, if he tells me that his dad was working, I would just shake my head and just look at it as one of those blunder of public speaking. People get out there and they want to say something and it turn out saying something else. So I don't take offense to it. I don't think it's a big issue than what the Liberian people are faced with right now under the Unity Party government. All of the suffering, abject poverty, kids who are supposed to be in school, they are not in school. Our parents are going to make their market. They cannot even be able to raise or even somebody buying their goods and services. Those kind of stuff. I think those are the most important things that this government needs to focus on. How can we empower young people? How can we create jobs for our young partisan, because now the whole government is a partisan government. How can we create jobs for people who voted for us, who got in the ring? I remember that ring when people were under the Unity Party. How can we create jobs for them? How can we focus on healthcare situation? Our people are going to give birth every day. Some of them, they are not in surviving, choose childbirth. How can we equip our hospitals, our clinics? How can we give our people the benefit of this surplus that we are talking about? I think that should be the talking point for this government right now. And President, we are telling his story in a different version. That's just our thing.
I'll come to you for fun, and then I'll go to Vic.
Let me go get my charger.
Yeah, please do. because I got one closing topic that will interest all of you ladies on the show tonight. So I don't want any female leaving the show. So, Fofana, you followed the former president coming on Sunday. He left story, a new phase of his story. Did that come as a surprise to you?
Thank you very much. When it comes to President Weah, his story, every Liberian knows President Weah's story because there are pictorial evidence of his upbringing, and there are people like friends and family that always explain the story. So President Weah had a very uh, tough upbringing, and he was able to make his way through football. But I don't think the story President Weah was trying to explain, I see it from a very different point of view. I see it as a way of justification between the CDC and the United Party, because the United Party have accused President Weah and some member of his government of being poor and was able to accumulate wealth over their administration and build houses and all of that. And now the CDC is saying the United Party is doing the same thing they accuse them of. For example, the 10 million project in Foya. So I think the both CDC and the United Party, they are trying to justify some malpractices and they have we have experienced in this government. So that's the justification President Weah was trying to give, and he blundered in that. But anyway, this is where the CMC comes in, because you see, the United Party and the CDC for the past 20 years, this has always been the United Party and the CDC always finding justification for leaving our country to the extent that our country is today. I will take you back a little bit. In 2005, the country needed an experienced person to take over the country because we just came from civil war, and we got early. I'm saying this because the country have always faced leadership issue, and it has been the CDC and the United Party. So we don't blame the Liberian people, but 2029 will be the time the Liberian people decision would be their responsibility. Because in 2005, we needed an experienced person, an educated person, because we came from civil war, and we hired Ellen. She tried her best, but we said, all right, let's give her another time because the 6 years wasn't enough. 2011, Ellen was entrusted, but again, Liberian people wasn't satisfied. They said, all right, CDC has been activating for us, and those guys they are clean. They don't have no record. Let's give them the chance. CDC was given the chance, but now they never met the Liberian people expectations. And Joseph Boaga claimed that he was a park car, and he never had nothing to do with the 12 years of Ellen administration. And I mean, as a reasonable person, the Liberian people, Liberian people said, all right, we will buy that. They gave Joseph Boaga the chance, and in 2 years, I mean, corruption, and, breaking rules of law and all of that. So now 2029, if the Liberian people decide to go with any of this political party, then that's where we know the problem of our country is ourselves. Like I said from the beginning, these are just justification. They are not giving story because it's true. They are trying to justify their malpractices.
All right, thank you. So let me inform our audience, especially those of our friends following us on the radio, that we will be asking you to give us additional 15 minutes of your time tonight. There is a closing conversation that is very interesting, and it's going to pass our allotted time of 8 minutes. So we'll ask for additional 15 minutes. So radio, Secretary, Radio Bar, Truth FM, Morovia, then Voice of Banga. We're asking for 15 minutes. The social media people we are on, so we are cool. We're just asking the radio people to stay with us for the next 15 minutes. Let me come to you, Vic. I know you follow what the former president said, making sure of his story that we have all heard, and the side of the story that came out on Sunday. I want you to take just a minute or so that we can do justice to the final topic before we close tonight. Vic, unmute your mic, please.
Thank you so much. I'm going to be brief with that because I think we have maybe the one you are talking about is important than discussing this. The thing I see with President Weah is I okay. Let me just tell you first of all what I think about the communication. I think it was contradicting as compared to what we have been hearing about him and what we've been knowing about him. This is the whole before he even became a president. He was a superstar. I would say that he has so many documentaries on the internet that have been published. That they are everywhere, and your documentary is your story. There have been a lot of storytellings about him or on him that people are actually familiar of. So coming up again to say that life was not the way it was, and those are stories that you even tell that impress other young people that when they're striving and when they're struggling or when they're seeking success, they relate to it, they reflect on. And coming again and saying that's not the story is something that is kind of I find it troubling, and it's not something to overlook because as a leader will always be leader. Once a president is always a president. We refer to so especially a president from a country shouldn't be giving contradicting stories when we already have stories on him that have been written, that have been published, and all of that. So I find it kind of a little bit troubling for him to come back and say that's not his story. Making it there's some brothers here there's this one brother here in Minnesota that usually just sit and get mad, and then when people ask me, say I'm mad at my mom, I should have been a Josh Weir. While I was friends with Josh Weir, we all used to go play football in our sneakers, and then my mom would pick me up and say, "Oh, the new sneakers I bought for you is the sneaker you went and play soccer in." And they would beat me up, so I was always afraid to go play soccer in my sneakers. That's why I got left behind. But George Weah man let him, no matter how dirty his sneaker was, he would still play in it and go to school. So coming back again, making that contradictory, story and bringing that contradictory story like, oh, my father did this well, my mother did this well, it's not okay because when you're a leader and you speak, people do listen. When ordinary person speak, people may not listen like that and be attentive. But when you're a leader, you're speaking, you got to consider in the cognitive in it. You got to consider that people are listening. You got to know that the people know a lot about you. Your public figure. So no matter how political it was, I think that it was not good for a president to come out and change the story on the people when he used a different story to even campaign and make the Liberian people to have sympathy on him and vote for him. And then coming back with a different story, I think it was disappointing, I would say that, or it was contradicting to the Liberian people, and that also put him not to be, a stable president or a reliable president, a former president. I would say that when George Weah do good, we would say it, but for that one, I think changing the story is not a good thing. It does not, prove you to be reliable. Thank you.
Okay, contradiction, not being reliable. That's why you took away. Winston, you want to say something that quickly?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Tove. Just in one word, I just want to explain in one word. I think the former president was being very impulsive. He spoke in a way that he did not consider in his own context he spoke in. He was being impulsive, and I think the reason why he was being impulsive in his statements because the frustration when people lie on you, people make you to feel like you are the worst person, that they can do more than what you did. And at the end of the day, when it comes to when when they have been given a chance and it's people doing the same old thing, I think he's feeding the pain the Liberian people going through now. He's just speaking out of frustration. Like I said, he was being very impulsive, and I think the former president should be acknowledged. We understand how things are in Liberia, how people who have the mind for Liberians, how they can feel when they are when they see the situation of the people. Sometimes they go off track in terms of how to address people in public and all of that. So we hope that the former president can have a proper management team that will be able to manage him, through crisis like the way Liberia is going right now. And let's see how our former leaders can be people with policy driven. When they say something, they mean what they meant what they said. I don't think the former president should be speaking at the end of the day. You have all the doubts in the public and all of that. I think it's wrong, and we hope that his management team will be able to manage him properly, through all the frustration and everything. That's what I wanted to say. But I think we should be more focused on Liberian people problem. There are a lot of things in Liberia that we should be saying right now. But it was a good thing bringing it up. But that's just what I have to say.
Okay, so the former president is part of the Liberian people problem. So we had to discuss it because he's a stakeholder in our body politics of the. So let me come to you, Dr. Francis. I see you for your change like this. It's like you got a lot of things running through your mind, uh, going through, reading through, and hearing what you heard on Sunday from the former president. What is your take?
Yeah, the former president is part of Liberia, and I believe that he's a leader in the country. So we have to discuss issues relating to morality, his story of contradiction, his story of hardship versus his story of affluence, his story of being rich, his story of not being poor. So which one do we take? Is troubling. It's troubling now that he's leaving the Liberian people with the decision to pick one. I do understand, and I understand what Martha was trying to say, because I believe we are on this show. Both people who come from a mental health background, and so we know when people struggle with expressing themselves, as Winston said, impulsivity. We know that. So it was an unintended truth. It was a bad gaffe. It was a bad move. Okay, because his story was told to the Liberian people umpteen times. We even saw him weep for his grandmother. I believe there was also a videotape of this grandmother that raised him from Gibraltar, from Nukutam, okay, who suffered with him, and he was paying homage to her. So we saw that video clip. And so now for us to come here that our president says that, oh, he did not grow up in poverty. He grew up with being rich. He grew up in a situation of being affluent. It does not provide hope for a lot of the Liberian children, young men and women who believed in him. Young men and children who was thinking, okay, I could be a George Weah someday, not necessarily playing football, but coming from a place of not having it all together, coming from a mat and reaching up to mattress, if for lack of a better word, okay. The Toba said coming from higher heights, we can move to higher heights. But we see now that he's telling us something different, and what are we supposed to take? He's contradicting himself, and it's worrisome to me, very worrisome to me. So I will advise the president. We know that he tends to say some things that he doesn't mean, or he doesn't, and we know he struggled with the whole expression and language issue. Like in that is a very important point. He needs to be very careful with that part of his story, that part of his life, because of the people that held him high up there. That's all I wanted to just add.
All right, so we hit the mark. We're going 2 minutes past our allotted time. We got the rest of the time to go. And let me say thanks to all of you for staying on with us, for the interest. Our closing topic tonight, we're going to talk about Speaker Richard Kuhn and his ongoing love affairs. Sometimes it's difficult to talk about people in certain category, but when you are in the public space, everything about you become a part of the public conversation. And all of you females on this platform, I know how you all feel when you hear other female or you hear women take to the social media to explain their ordeal and the things they've gone through, and to see the man who is the third highest man in our country now being linked to several different allegations. Someone he claimed to be his sister, claimed now to be his wife. Another person here is having child here, is having children this point, and there's a whole lot of different conversation around the current speaker. Masa, you spoke about that in your opening, and I thought to that reference until the end of the show because I knew we were going to close with this topic tonight. And I want you to be very realistic. I see people come to Liberia and get relationship. I've seen people fake marriages in the family cycle to go to the United States. So there's a whole different drama at times that happen. Is that what you sense is happening in this case, or you think what we are hearing about the current speaker and the lady who's now taken on to the media? She's been alleged to be the sister, even admitting or sleeping with. So there's no relationship without people having intimacy, especially in marriage. And she has admitted that she's gone through all of those things, but the gentleman is saying, "No, you are my sister, and this did not happen, and this is the story, and this is the other story." What is the take? I want you to take your time. We'll give you few minutes to give me your heart into what you've heard in all of this, and we'll go around the table and then we'll close the show tonight. My side is your turn.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Toby. Let me just say I'm not a follower of Sport TV. So when I was told about this story, that was my first time really sitting down to watch talk show for that longer hours. I mean, I think it was like 4 hours, whatever time you guys can spend over there that direction scene. But I watched that up to 1 a.m. I was watching
Master,
it.
just for teaching for the busy.
Just for teaching for the- That's I never wanted to say. I wanted to know it myself. But yeah, but that was how long I watched it and how my interest in an identical story. But to your point though, Mr. Toby, like you said, there are so many, especially for us Africans, right? Who want to bring our brothers and sisters over. You know, there are so many things that go on, and not just African, because even other nationalities from out of America, they're doing it. But here's the thing, Mr. Toby. The reason why I don't believe the speaker saying that what's her name, Cecilia is his sister, is simple. When people do these things to give your relative paper or whatsoever, and they receive that paper, they immediately divorce them. So it has been over 10 years. So what is taking this man over 10 years who claimed that this woman is his sister to divorce her? If I go to marry my brother or my relative to come to the US just for paper business, and once they get their paper, I divorce you. Why? I know. I mean, we are all right now. We're going through immigration crisis, so I don't want to say much. But why took him over 10 years, and even until now, he's yet to divorce this woman. This woman has filed in for divorce. If that your sister, why you accept the divorce ever since? Why is taking him so long? So I do not believe the story that he and this woman they are related biologically. They are related. No, I don't believe it. I just feel like, and let me just be honest. Like I heard people saying that, she jealous. No, this lady is not jealous. This lady is highly educated. She's highly educated. She's a nurse practitioner. She served in the military for 16 years. So this is not a broke woman we are talking about here. If you in the US, you live in the US, and you know that when it comes to service like veterans, even if that lady decide not to work as a nurse practitioner, she's still gonna live on VA benefits. She's still gonna live. She got retirement. She got savings. She's still gonna live. So she is not jealous of Richard Coon. I believe he's the one who has been delaying this because he wants to not let her go. And there are men who can do that. And there are also women who do that. You know, there are people when they reach certain age, they be like, oh, I'm not gonna divorce this, we're just gonna be there. Everybody do it, like that, and stuff. Because divorce is a difficult process. Not everybody wants to go through the struggle or the headache. So you'll see some people, they are married, they and their wives, their wives not even living together. But it's legally they stay married. But you see that in open relationship, they get girlfriends and stuff out there. So I think that is what has been between he and this lady for years until now. What she believes, which of course she said that she wants to divorce him, and he does not want to sign the divorce paper. I mean, who the brother don't want to let her sister to move on with her life? I mean, Mr. Toby, come on now. Who is the real brother, biological brother, who refused for their sister to move on with her life, even if she did it to give you paper? So you're not divorced her? So I don't believe everything he said. And I think that was even bad for his image. Now you have the U.S. government, the U.S. embassy right in there. They are following all these things. He's the third man in command. Coming to say that this woman is your sister, so it means that you committed immigration fraud. Is that what you telling the Liberian people and the U.S. government? Because trust me, you hear people saying, "Oh, they're gonna come for her." No, they're not gonna come for her. Let me tell you, that woman has served the United States government for 16 years. She's a veteran. They can do nothing to her. They're not taking her paper. They ain't what they call it nothing. It's a bad image for Richard Coon. And if I were him or in his cycle, I would be telling him to sign divorce paper and even go and delete the statement that he made out there that this lady is his relative. Lord, Mr. Toby, all of us will live in Liberia. Our communities that we live in, all of us, we are very close proximity. You have people calling, how many people will call my dad, never related and nothing to my father or even me. So we call our people dad. We call even like somebody was saying, why is she calling her father-in-law dad for? Of course, even my mother-in-law, yeah, I call her mommy. What is wrong with that? We're from Africa. That's how we respect our audience. Even children, my children are born in this country. I tell you, you see a lot. I remember one time my daughter asked me, "Mommy, why do I have to call everybody auntie? They are not related to you," because it's our upbringing. I have to explain to them. That's how we were. That's how we grew up, calling people who are older than us uncle, auntie, sister. So it's our tradition. So all I can say, this is very bad for this government. And Mr. Coon, he needs to sign the divorce paper. And let me tell you for sure, Nadella Cooper is not going to keep him once the how you call it, the speakership is removed. She's not going to keep him. So everything
Why you
he's
say
doing
so?
right
Why you think so?
Let me tell you, Mr. Toby. Mr. Toby, nobody, are doing, only some men, some women. But our whole idea of better days ahead, it's not in this generation, it's not with certain people. Yeah, it's not with certain people. You, myself, Vicky, or Dad, we might say, we take our relationship for scratch. Not everybody wants to take relationship for scratch. Let's be honest. Not everybody wants to take relationship for scratch, So if whatever he's depending on, he no longer has it, my girl is gonna exit. She's gonna exit because it's what attracted her. That position is what attracted her to him.
Okay, let me let you rest your case. Winston, let's wait a little bit. Yeah, I will let you come in. I know you're getting sleepy now. When I see you rubbing your eyes,
Yeah, it's almost 4 a.m. in the morning here, so I just want to go.
No, so just wait just a few
Okay.
minutes. Let me hear Vic on this, then I will come to you.
He
That
just want to
way,
hear from the women. That's all he
yeah,
wants.
I really want to hear from you people. Why would you put all here to them for? So go ahead, Vic.
Okay, so this is my take on that whole issue about getting married. First thing first, I am a very good listener. When people are talking, I'm an audio learner too. I hear your voice in my ear more than even when I see things on, on paper or something. One thing I know with all of the interview that this lady went through, she kept saying, that's not the reason I got married to him. And I'm saying this to people that think that she may get in trouble. She's not going to get in trouble. She kept saying, she kept repeating herself. She kept saying it, repeating it that, well, if that's the reason he married me for paper, that's not what he told me. That's not the reason I got married to him. He proposed to me. And she even said where she was proposed to. He said, this man proposed to me and we got married. I didn't get married to him for paper. And then people are asking, but that's what he's saying. He said, if that's what he's saying, maybe that's why he married me for, but that's not what he told me. And that's not what it was for. So there is no way. She knows she on national TV. She knows she on the media. She kept saying that was not the reason we got married. She's smart. She's not going to sit there and say, oh, yes, no, no. She said, that's not the reason we got married. Now, my only suspicion with this, in her explanation, she said that she also filed for Rich's father. Now, that's my confusion. Filing as Rich's father as whom is where my eyebrow is, my eyebrow raise. Okay. So what I will analyze in this case is she sent for Rich's father. She may have sent for Rich's father, allegedly, as her dad, as her father. But I've so much believe that everything that this lady is saying, that he and this this guy got married. Because it's public now, so I'm not even going to hide the name. The speaker got married. It's true. They got married. And you are holding on to the marriage. My reason, or one thing I think he was holding on to the marriage until he got full status. He's dragging her in the process until he get full status. By the way, he's a speaker. He still wants the citizenship. So in time to come, he might come and get his citizenship. If this woman did this thing for paper, why is she so much begging and pleading for the divorce? In her voice, you can hear that. And she's, okay, this is smart. The woman is smart. Let me just, let's put it this way. Even the Medina Cooper, she's not even going after her. That's how smart she is. She's not saying, oh, she snatched my man or whatever. She does not care about their relationship. She's saying, all I want is my divorce. He's holding me down. I want my divorce. Why is he not giving her the divorce? And the blunder he made was to stop telling people that she is my sister. If somebody said they want a divorce, and another spouse of you come and announce publicly with a show off that this is my man, and somebody said they want a divorce, I will hurry up with that divorce before you even get to where you got. I'm calling you, I'm setting you. I'm like, hey, we can do this. We can compromise this. I'm going to give you a divorce. Instead of coming to justify what's not smart of him and say, oh, well, she's my sister. You see why I place him? And other people sitting there talking about she going to get in trouble. When was the last time she ever told you that was the reason or she married to her brother? She had never mentioned that. This lady is smart. And to Masa's point, that after this whole thing and where the speakers stand right now, if he gets dismissed or he get eliminated, that relationship, the new relationship, is not going to hold. Because what I see over there was the enthusement or whatever to say that I am the speaker's this. That was a show off. But then now when he's Mr. Nobody, who will want to claim him publicly that I still stand with you. I know, like she said, this generation, we're not doing the LU thing. All right. So that is it. That lady is so much, she's not going to get in trouble because she didn't say anything against herself to put her in trouble. That's my take on it. And I think she's smart, and I would give it to her. And I'll speak on mess up. Thank you.
Okay, Winston, let me let you go. So let me let you have your say. So you leave these women with me tonight. Go ahead, Winston.
Yeah, let me just say
Toby
something short
loves
there.
fries. So today I know he loves fries. So we still
Yeah, I'll have to leave you guys soon. It's good.
Yeah,
It's good
Winston,
that
go
we're
ahead.
having.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's good that we're having this kind of conversation. I know this is just going to be my closing statement. So it's good that we always come here. I know tonight I was not supposed to be here, but again tomorrow Wednesday is New Year Eve. So I don't want to believe that we'll be here. And Thursday again I will be free. So I've been resting almost 2 weeks now. But it's good to be here. But let me say this. There's a consistent universal principle, and the principle states that whatever you sow, you shall reap. Right? Is that yeah? That's the exact quotation. That's a universal principle, the consistent universal principle. And principles are law. You can pervert it, you can deny it, but principles are law. For example, if you claim on tall building, no matter how you speak in tongue, you pray, you climb on top of building, you jump down. When you fall down, you will die. No amount of prayer can stop you from dying, jumping off long buildings. So that's a universal principle. You know, when the whole thing started, I have never supported. For me, I just want to take it from this angle. I have never supported CDC. I didn't even support Fonati Kova being a speaker. But when this whole illegal thing, one of the things that have supported my statement about this whole thing about Richard Kun getting married to this lady, Speaker Kun getting married to this lady, that I've always felt that, this guy is capable of doing what the lady says. If this guy can plot a coup against certain speaker who was elected legitimately, they violated the Constitution, the High Court on the land, the Supreme Court, ruled and said, you are in violation of the Constitution. Y'all go back and sit to do the right thing. And the man still had the guts to still collect the few guys who were with him. They went to sat somewhere, they said they can't sit on a Fonati Kofa. These are a result of being bad or violating universal principle. You saw this, you whip it. So sometimes when I see him posting on official social media page, God is wonderful. I say, wow. So some people, some people who can make the devil proud, they can still come back and want to add that they really love God. So for me, what all that is going on, the hosts are representing it. Liberian people, we got to know that we got to restore dignity to the speakership. The 10 men in command in our country, we got to restore dignity. People who in those positions, even though there is no perfection in humanity, no perfection, but there should be people who have lived with clean character. People who have lived with clean character, that the path they walk into to reach to that zenith of political power, it should be an exemplary to people who want to go through the same path. It shouldn't be somebody who claimed to marry her own sister. It shouldn't be somebody who went and impregnated a teenager and born by her. And after all, when they ask him for child support, he says he's going to be keeping $10 per month. $10 per month till the child reaches 18 years, which is going to be around 2,000 some dollars for the child to build a foundation from there.
Cruelty.
This is very sad for us. And I want to believe that he's very capable of doing it. With what we saw, where they violated the Constitution of the Republic of Liberia and unseated legitimate speaker, and it went ahead again and still prosecuting somebody that they illegitimately removed. They're still prosecuting them just to make sure they score political point. I want to believe that he's very capable of that. But those things, I express nothing, and I want the government. And one thing I want to say in my closing, I want to appreciate the independent and responsible United Partisans who are coming up, calling for the removal of this guy as a speaker. I have always have that mind that Reggie Kun, he's not capable enough. He did that to journalists. He wanted to have session without having a quorum. When journalists were recalling, he started telling journalists, if anybody recall here, if I'm put in jail, I should change my name, as if to say it is a private area where, you know, the law of, how you call it? I'm just forgetting the law.
Kamarlo.
Yeah.
Abdullah Kamarlo.
No, I wanted to say primacy. He make it a law, that the primacy liability law, where you don't have to go on somebody else's property and do something without their consent. He make it look that the place, it is a private area, primacy liability law. Nobody should record that without your consent. So it's bad for us as a country. And I'm calling on responsible lawmakers, though they supported him during the impasse in the House of Representatives, but it is not still late. Let us make the decision and remove this guy and restore sanity and dignity to the House of Representatives and 10 men in command in the Republic of Liberia. That's what I wanted to say tonight. And thanks for the time. We'll return again, and Happy New Year in advance to everyone.
I'm with you, Mr. Cooper. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Winston. We got six more minutes to 2 a.m. my time here. So we'll wrap up exact time on the clock on the dot at 2 a.m. So let me now be left with the women here on the show. So, Dad, I see you smile a lot tonight on this social component of the conversation. I'm hearing all of you speak to this particular subject matter. You've been reading, you've been following, you've been hearing justification, claim, and counterclaim. The man is the woman is my sister. No, the woman said, no, you married me illegally. Some are saying it is because of the property attached, and several different stories. The man got 11 children and about how many women. But this is the speaker of our country. And if we are to put things straight, when these situations happen in other countries, I'm not sure those who are being accused will be sitting there in their office. People will either resign because you are no longer a private citizen. When you ascend to a certain position, everything about you become a public discussion. And that is why we are holding this conversation. So let me hear your take on this one.
So everyone said it right. The points were well taken. I'm going to come from a different anchor, and I'm going to come from the anchor of the president. I actually wonder what goes on in the head of President Joseph Yuma Boakai to have a speaker that is so close to him, to the extent that recently we saw this speaker travel to Lofa County with him. And to have a person who give special authority to people to remove another person's car from the parking lot at the Capitol building. What goes on in the head of President Joseph Boakai? To be so close to a person who abandoned his children, now that we know that all of this secret is coming up. To be so close to a person who is in this kind of legal allegation back and forth issue. So I am definitely just concerned about President. I wonder what he's thinking. I wonder what is he saying about the whole issue. He has not said anything, so it's very concerning to me. And I'm very much concerned about this as we look at Liberia's code of conduct, because I know people have argued, oh, there's no legality, there's no law that says, this person can engage in this amount of wife or this kind of relationship. But I think, again, our code of conduct is is a part of our government for a reason. It's a part of our documentation that relates to our government for a reason, And in the code of conduct, it asks us to hold the interests of the Liberian people in high esteem in order to promote public trust. So I think this type of situation promote public trust domestically and internationally. We have the third person in command here. Uh, in the world is watching our country go through all of this allegation, and I'm sure some people are laughing at us as we work hard to improve our country image. And in our country, like Masa asked, what kind of role model would our speaker set for young men and women? Okay, how is he promoting public trust? You know, how is he being objective about laws that are going to be passed in the interest of maybe women who he once upon a time abused? So all of these things I'm concerned about, and I'm looking at this strictly from a code of conduct and the president's behavior in terms of what he's thinking, his mindset. So that's what I have to
Okay,
add.
so
And
let me come
and
back.
just so, Mr. Toby, just to add up to that too, like,
You add up at that point, then you wrap up for tonight.
yeah, just to add up, I know we talk a lot about the speaker, but then we really did not talk about Medela Cooper, who happens to be the advisor to the president. This is somebody, let's just say, if she was not in any kind of entanglement or relationship with the speaker, we expect her to advise the president on what to say concerning the speaker. If this was with another woman, that's what you are there for, to be able to advise the president on things that are going on right, and also things that are going on wrong in the government. But what is she telling the president? What is she advising the president on? And what is the president saying? Like Dad said, this is a situation of conflict of interest as well. We are not trying to get into people's bedroom. Yeah, nobody will get into their bedroom if they were not public servants. They were not receiving taxpayer money, but they are receiving taxpayers' money, and that's the reason why we are discussing them. But to really, not think about the image of the country, and not even think about respecting the Liberian people, taxpayers, and just involved into something of this nature, especially as a woman. I'm very disappointed in her, to be honest. This is somebody who I really thought, she was a role model for young women. She and myself, we are not of the same age, but
She did
I
not.
think I
Someone was
look at
saying
her as a role model.
she did not go after him. He went after her though.
Yeah. So it
But
doesn't matter.
she made
It does.
she made the first publicity.
She the one makes the publicity. Why? Yeah.
The
So
introduction,
she's the
and
one that
the
really
advisor
just,
of the president was enough. But it's
yes,
also a spouse
because
who
that's what we
know the
know her to
situation.
be. So, but regardless, it doesn't matter. And Vicky, it really, whoever saying that, it doesn't matter. We are talking about our government here. We are talking about our country. We don't care about their bedroom thing. And that's what I'm saying. And Winston said, if United Party or those who supported this man to be speaker, if they can go back and vote against him to remove it, let's see how far the relationship goes. Thank you, Mr. Toby.
So Vic, maybe the announcement was done out of the excitement that come with the portfolio of the opposite sex becoming close to the speaker of our country. And most often women are excited than men, and sometimes they bring out a relationship that the men would normally want to do. So you want to hold responsible for that excitement, you respond, and then you can close up as well.
Oh well, come on now.
Come
The
on now.
announcement, the announcement, what people want
Okay, it's
to know.
really in her pocket tonight.
During the interview, she was asked though. She was asked. And by the way of introduction, I am the advisor to the president. And then followed by, and also the spouse of the speaker, knowing the situation, the marital status of this speaker, knowing the position of this speaker, being the third person in command. It was just a show off, and that show off she just blew it out, and then now see where it is. I think there's no damage control for that. And I think she formed part of the damage. I would say that because that interview has nothing to do with you coming up to say how your spouse when you know it was illegal. You're not a legitimate spouse of the speaker. Why are you saying it in public? That's what I have to say. And then like everyone keeps saying, I really think so. I really want something to be done about that. We need some, we pray for some action to be taken on our speaker because there are a lot going on. There's a lot that we're hearing that he's doing. And he himself coming up to say that, yes, he did this for that. What else again do we have to justify here? The man said he got married to his own sister for paper. That is illegal. That is something that we need to look at. So thank you.
Okay.
Your thanks for watching and thank you everybody. Sorry I'm on fire tonight. I don't know.
I like
Yeah,
it.
right.
Continue
like
to be on fire. We're on our way to making this show the number one show. So
So that let me come to you so that you can also close on the topic tonight. Now that we are all watching to see what happened upon their return. You know, they are on the break, but these developments are unfolding. Others are holding meetings and conversation are ongoing. Is there any possibility you think Vic is saying there should be action? Massa is saying there should be action. You think members of the national legislature see that as a domestic thing and no one want to get involved? No one's going into the bedroom, but it places a moral cloud on the man who is the third man in our country. Why do you think should happen at the end of the day?
I think he should be investigated. Of course, we know everything.
Investigated? Who's going to investigate him?
Well, his colleagues. That I'm sure they have rules in the house that speaks to people conduct and morality.
Why would they have any girlfriend in my heart? How many?
No, I'm not really focused on that. I'm focused in how he has enrolled the public trust. Okay. Focus on the issue of the code of conduct. I think the ombudsman should be definitely on this case. Okay. To be able to improve public trust. And again, did you guys notice that our president, and I'm sorry to say, because I hold our president very responsible, for the entirety of our country, has not said anything about this? Did you guys notice? Why? And that's go ahead.
I'm close already, so I'm there.
No, I mean,
this is the regime speaker. This is the regime speaker, right? That's how the man identify himself, as the regime speaker.
And that's a concern. And this is why we should all be concerned. This is why Liberians should be concerned, because you should be talking about how you want to distance yourself from the behavior of someone who disowns your children. You should be talking about how you believe that a president should not be linked to someone who's involved in this back and forth allegations. So it ruins the image of our country that you're working so hard to improve. So,
All right. Good to hear all of you point on it. I thought to keep the best for the last. What a way to close tonight. It's been a wonderful time. I saw all of you come out in readiness with the discussion on our topic tonight. It was wonderful hearing Massa. We need to do this as often as possible. We know you got some very tight schedule, but your analysis are good, big. I appreciate you a whole lot. You taking the TMC to 2026. You've been on fire tonight. It's like you love this kind of a conversation. It brings everything out in you. So it's been a very good time. That I also want to say thank you. You like to put it in there?
You're trying to come here to put it.
No, but to be frank, I think we did justice tonight, and the show was very fiery. It was lively. It was good to hear all of the intake for the show. I just want to say thanks to all of you, to our listeners, and to all those who kept viewing us to the end. We hope that, I'm not sure tomorrow that Tomorrow is Watch Night here. So we'll talk about that when we close the show. So I want to say thanks to all of you and wish all of you and your family a happy new year. And we'll see when we are available again on this platform.
Dad knows she's not gonna mess with the people watch night. Liberians and a watch night. No. Can't play with it.
You're right, though. You're right. So tomorrow we'll probably put an announcement up that we won't have a show because a lot of church activities will be happening
Yeah.
tomorrow. So
Tomorrow
get
it's
into
going to be a night that people who haven't gone to church
Will be showing up.
yeah, will go to the
They will
churches.
be showing up. Evil the
Yeah.
spirit.
You wouldn't want to go to church on tomorrow night and go to church on Christ Sunday. If you go
Yeah.
early, you wouldn't get a
Yeah.
They'll take all the seats.
Me and my mom
Yeah.
were just talking about how the Holy Spirit be grabbed and showing people that I said I visit there. So Liberian churches, I remember a Liberian pastor pushing everybody here with the oil, and I can't afford that. She said, but
I never
can't
fought. That's right. I never just fought.
All right,
I
guys.
can't
Okay,
even
see
work
you
with
all.
me.
Maybe I'm not just charismatic, but
Yeah, well, I'll be a pastor. Let them do that all
They
business.
laughed
That
at
can
me.
be pushed.
It doesn't work with me. To me, I said they didn't push me. I just standing on stage. Like,
and they will
I
say you
know,
get
right?
stubborn spirits.
That's
Yeah.
okay.
Okay. I see you all. Good night, and we'll
All
talk
right.
again.
Good
All
night,
right.
everybody.
All right.
New Year,
Bye
you
bye.
guys,
Happy
man.
New Year with
Okay.
that dial. I tell we'll see
Happy
you
New
tomorrow.
Year.
Happy New
We'll
Year.
Okay.
see
We'll see you
everybody
all.
on Thursday.
Yeah,
All
thank
right.
you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Bye,
All right.
Mr.
Bye bye.
Toby.
Bye,
Bye bye.
everyone.
Bye bye.
Thanks for watching.
CMC for the people, by the people, and to the people. Citizens movement for change. Oh yes, a new day.